everyone, I'm Amanda.
I'm Emily.
And today we are going to introduce the 10-step problem-solving process in order to effectively collaborate with team members in your school. So the first step, as you can see on the graphic that we've provided you, is to prepare for your collaborative consultation. So the consultant, which is usually the general education teacher or the special education teacher, should be mindful of preparing all the necessary materials before planning the meeting. And another big important thing is to make sure that the meeting is in a time that's conducive for all participants. So a lot of the times in schools, collaboration can happen on the playground or in the hallways, but for an effective process to happen, it is going to be in everyone's best interest to plan an actual meeting either before the school day happens or after on your own time. But it's also helpful to make sure that every collaborator has enough time to prepare. So that means providing people with necessary materials and making sure that they have sufficient time rather than telling them about the meeting a week before it's supposed to happen.
So step 2 in the 10-step process is to initiate the collaborative consultation. Being teachers, you're going to be busy in your school day. You're going to be focusing on planning your own lessons, making sure your own classroom is functioning the way you want to. But establishing time to make sure that you put effort into your collaboration is very important. So, really try and make contact even though it's difficult. Maybe be the one to really step out there and try and connect everyone together. And then once you're in that meeting, your main focus is just to establish a good conversation between one another, really focus on each other's strengths, figure out what everyone is good at so that you can discover your place and what you will do best in the meeting. Really focus on listening, observing, and try not to defer judgment. Focus on the main concern at the time. Maybe write down what you think the major problem is going to be before so you're prepared when you go into that meeting. And just be very open with discussing what you think the main issues are going to be.
And so the third step is to collect and organize relevant information. So this is the data collecting process. So it's important to involve all team members in the process and have enough relevant information. So oftentimes teachers and collaborators might have a lot of different data points on a student, but it's important to make sure that the data is relevant to the issue at hand. And also it's really important to involve families in this process because a lot of useful information can come from their home life and from what close family members and caretakers have to say about the student at hand. And it is also beneficial to collaborate with previous teachers that the student may have had because they might have relevant information to provide to the situation at hand. And we also have a figure that will be shown later in this video that will show all the different ways that you can collect data on a student and the different methods that you can use.
So step 4 is to isolate the problem. And while it may sound simple, you can't solve a problem without first knowing what it is. So that's going to be your 4th step is just isolating what you're going to be working on, finding your main concern, focusing on that main need, and really try to come up with an individually tailored solution for that student or group of students that you're working with. You don't want to come up with just that easy, quick solution that might be the simplest. You're collaborating with others and you really want to try the best that you can to come up with a solution that's going to work specifically for that child. So just developing that clear problem statement and agree upon it by all before you start your planning process.
And step 5 is to identify concerns and realities about the problem. So this is the step where all of the contributors will talk about their various opinions. So as the consultant or the teacher who is kind of leading this process, it's really important to make sure that all opinions and viewpoints are heard and valued. Oftentimes in a group setting, one person may dominate the conversation, and it's really important to make sure that everyone feels that they're not being judged about their opinions, or else they might not want to contribute all that needs to be said. In addition to this, it's really important to have someone who is making notes about the comments being said so that you can refer back to them later when designing a plan for your problem. And like I said before, just make sure that all opinions are valued in this process.
So step 6 is going to be to generate options. Your main goal here is just to be creative and think about a variety of solutions that, as I stated before, are going to, help your specific child. Using different strategies that work for everyone in the group and keep the group moving toward the stated goal is very important, and we'll talk about some of these strategies later on in the chapter. There's a lot of different ones that you can use that may best suit people in your group, and just figuring out which way you want to work that so that you can have all the options possible.
And step 7 is to formulate an actual plan. So this is the part where everyone is going to contribute how they think that this plan should be dissolved, or I'm sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? How the plan should be formulated. So it's really important as a contributor to positively reinforce others for their contribution. This is similar to the stage I talked about previously. So it's really great to feel that your opinion is valued, and so that you want to make sure other people are sharing. The consulting teacher should, when possible, wait to share his or her own opinion until everyone else has shared theirs. Or else you might take on the role of the expertise and other people might not be willing to share as much. And this formulating a plan step is also when you are to decide what should be done and when it should be done and by whom it should be done. So you will decide which members are responsible for which tasks and when they will be held accountable for those tasks. In addition, they will also arrange the assessment technique and how the group will be collecting data on the student or the problem at hand.
And then step 8 is to evaluate progress and process. You want to continually assess your student to make sure that progress is occurring. If it's not, maybe you're going to have to go back and, see if you isolated the correct problem, if you generated the right options, if you made a plan that's working correctly. So really assessing and making sure that that progress is occurring. You want to also evaluate the collaborative process itself. It's very important to stay positive and supportive in this aspect. You want to just make sure that everyone's communicating in the best way, that you're coming up with all the options that you can, that you're being creative, just to make sure that you are moving towards your goal and everything is progressing as it should.
And step 9 is often the most neglected step. It is the follow through and follow up of your implementation plan. So this is in everybody's best interest to continually follow up on the plan and see and revisit the situation frequently. A very nice thing to say as the consultant to other contributors would be, what would you like to see happen in this situation, or how can I help you? But a consultant should be very mindful not to make the comment sound demeaning in any way and accidentally imply that the other consultant, the consultee is not qualified enough to carry out the task. Consultants should respond immediately and provide the necessary materials and resources to help the other participants in the group. And they should also make the consultees feel good about their participation and that they're valued in their work.
And then finally, our last step is to repeat or continue consultation and collaboration as necessary. So maybe your plan is not working the way that you wanted it to. You might have to go back and, replan, so repeating this collaboration if needed. Or maybe your plan did work out and your child is growing as you want them to, everything worked effectively, and you had come up with this individually tailored solution that worked out great. More than likely, working toward a student-centered approach is always going to be the best option. So having these answers that really fit each student is going to help in the future. And collaboration is always something that will encourage others to participate and is overall just a really good and effective way to help your students grow. So it's always a good idea to try and do it again.
And that was the 10-step problem-solving process. So we have other graphics at the end of this presentation that we will show to you as well.